I'm involved with a large group of people that are meditating for world peace. In part of that program, they are using mantras and sutras to master gravity. Can we actually master gravity in our physical form?
Hopefully not. Well, we want to be nice about it, but it's not easy. Because there is so much. You have to understand. First, let us take the first part of your statement. As you come together in a group and you are visualizing and meditating upon an idea of world peace, we want you to understand that what you're actually doing, you see, there is no greater asking for peace than in the violence of war. So your future world has a greater probability of being peaceful because of the wars you have been involved in and are involved in than if there had been none. Does that make sense to you? In the same way that the sicker you are, the weller you want to be? So when you realize that as this mass consciousness is involved to different degrees with these wars that are happening, that the request for well-being, and of course it varies depending upon how personal or impersonal it is to you or how much attention you're giving it, but we have never seen a greater request coming from the vibrational atmosphere of any time-space reality than what is shooting as rockets of desires from the mass consciousness of this world's population. And so the source energy parts of you are queuing up for that. And in fact, when you realize, we didn't talk about this yet, but it is really an important place to put this in. You have to realize that as you were non-physical energy and you were born into this body and you lived contrast, which caused you to ask for more, that it is this growing mass consciousness version of vibrational escrow that is the vibrational place from which all new beings are coming forth. In other words, the babies that are being born are coming from that powerful place of understanding and wanting. The question is, what are the rest of you doing about it? We like to call your attention to what we lovingly call the dilution ratio, because it is a wonderful thing how many of you are croaking. We try to be as disrespectful as we can about death, since there isn't any, but in that death experience you withdraw your resistance and you reemerge into pure positive energy. And so you go immediately from your fitfulness perhaps over war and violence and sickness and all of that stuff that is the resistance within you into pure positive energy. And the new ones that are coming forth are already pure positive energy and are riding that wave of the well-being that you have all been asking for. In the vernacular of our first friend here today, talk about a flip. In other words, when you realize what mass consciousness vibrational escrow is asking for, it is huge. So then the question is, what am I as an individual doing to line up with peace? And we say, if you are fixated on war, you're not doing anything to line up with it. You are still part of the asking part of the equation. And we want you to realize that you don't have to wait for anybody else to turn and go in the direction of the well-being that you've been asking for in order for you to achieve it. But it's the biggest contradiction that physical humans for the most part, in their peace marches and in their peace meditations, are pointed upstream. In other words, it's like they're demanding peace rather than allowing it. And in their asking for peace, most of them are still justifying their request for peace by pushing against the war. And so you have to become a vibrational match to the vision of well-being that has been spawned from the horrific vision of war. People will say, I want to be over there, and we'll say, what's over there? And they'll say, well, I don't know, I've never been there, but it's got to be better than what's over here. And we say, problem with that thinking is, if you are so aware of what's over here, you can't get over there. And there are so many people speaking the words of peace that are so in the vibration of opposition to it. And you can tell when you're talking about peace, if you feel peaceful, you're moving there. But if you are enraged by war in your request for peace, then you're still in step one of asking, but you're not doing anything about allowing it for yourself, you see. do not misunderstand, because as we've already talked about here, the solution comes in response to the awareness of the problem. The answer comes because there is a question being asked. And the peace comes in the request for peace because of the awareness of the discomfort of war. And so all of it is of value. You just have to decide what part of the equation you are beating the drum of. And we want you to understand. And this is the most significant thing that we think could ever be understood by those involved in the peace movement. The request has been made. You do not have to justify your desire for peace anymore by pointing out the horrors of war. And every moment you spend pointing out the horrors of war, you are holding yourself individually apart from your vibrational escrow, and that's why it's tearing you up so. And you feel so powerless because you have come through your mixing it up in life to come to this powerful desire for a peaceful world, for children to play and to grow and to thrive, and for people to live and to live out what they have wanted when they came forth. And in your powerful desire for all of this, but in your awareness that it isn't happening in so many places, you tear yourself apart. And then you resent the warriors and the makers of the war because you hold them responsible for the way you feel. And if there's ever been a giving away of one's power, that's surely got to be the biggest one. When you finally get it, that you can turn downstream toward peace, even with the war raging, now you've got it. You understand the art of allowing when you're able to allow even those who are not allowing you. And when you believe that somebody else is pulling the strings and somebody else has the power and you can't control what they do, but you feel that you need to control what they do before you can feel better, that is the greatest loss of freedom. And it is perceptual. It is not actual.
Good. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
We understand that in a world that is worried about war, part of the world is eager for it because of its economic advantages. Part of the world finds it abhorrent. Most of the world is pushing against it. But it only takes a handful to go in the direction of the dream that the world has amassed in order to begin to get some real things moving. In other words, a little bit of allowing goes a long way when the stream is moving that fast, you see.
Wonderful.
Good.
Thank you.
Yes,
and the
indeed.
Gravity thing?
Now, what's that about? If you knew how much you wanted to be in these bodies, you wouldn't be trying so hard to get out of them.
It is fun.
Float away in your altered state. In other words, soar
Okay.
with your spirit and let yourself be grounded. You want to be.
Perfect.
What is it about gravity that is annoying to you?
Oh,
The predictability of it?
no, it's nothing wrong with it. I think it'd just be fun to be able to have more things to add to the stew, just more play, more toys.
Well, look at it this way. If anything that you can desire, you must be able to achieve.
Good.
So we would not for a moment tell you that you cannot accomplish something just because it has not happened.
Right.
But we want you to realize that when you are requesting anything, just work to make sure that your request is coming from that downstream calling. And when you come into alignment with Source, we are verging on bubble bursting here, but when you are following the call of Source, you will not be wanting to undo the things that your planet has been in the process of becoming. Another way of saying that, less gentle, is we've never known anyone making a request to release gravity who was flowing downstream. Because the call of Source just is not going to do that. There was too much about it. It's been too long in the becoming. It's too central to your survival. It's too central. And like the law of attraction, these consistent laws serve you so very well as you understand them and then learn to work within them, you see. And some would say, well, Abraham, that seems like a contradiction. If you say, I can do anything, then why can't I do that? And we say, you have to realize that everything that you're living is causing the broader part of you to become. And that broader part of you has become something that is calling the rest of you toward. And that broader part of you is not calling you toward lack of gravity. So whenever you try to go there, that's what that resistance is about. So if you say, all right, my quest is not to defy the laws of the universe. My quest is to go with the flow. My quest is to get in sync. My quest is to realize what has been set into motion, and to get in the rhythm of that. You're going to find freedom that is more intoxicating than if you could lift off and float into the clouds. It is our promise to you.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
indeed.
Goodbye.